So what if the entire world was teetering on the edge of all-out war just 2 years from now? We're going to walk you through a speculative, but honestly, a chillingly detailed timeline of a 2026 conflict between the US and Iran. This is a fictional narrative, of course, but it maps out a very plausible path to the brink. Let's dive in. And it all kicks off with this: a single post on social media. Now, this isn't just your typical political tough talk. No, this is a public countdown to what a lot of people are seeing as Armageddon. Right away, the stakes are raised to the absolute maximum, the threat of wiping an entire civilization off the map.
So picture this. It's April 7th, 2026, a U.S. deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most vital waterways in the world, is just hours from expiring. And the entire planet is holding its breath, asking one question: is this for real, or is it a bluff?
But this didn't just happen overnight. Before we even get to this deadline, the conflict has already been raging for 50 days. And the human cost is just staggering. Over 2,000 dead in Iran, another 2,100 in Lebanon, dozens of Israeli and American soldiers. We're talking about more than 7,000 families shattered before this final ultimatum is even on the table.
And the threat? It gets way more specific. A promise to destroy every single power plant and bridge in Iran. Think about that. You're talking about crippling an entire country's infrastructure. You've got the UN and international law experts basically screaming that these are war crimes. And with rhetoric like this, the fear that a nuclear strike is actually possible, well, it starts to feel very, very real.
Okay, so to really get how we got here, we've got to rewind a few days, back to April 3rd. Because something happened that completely contradicted the official story the US was telling, this idea that they had total control of the skies over Iran. And it all started with just one plane going down.
An American F-15E fighter jet gets hit. The two crew members have to eject deep inside Iranian territory. Now the pilot, he's rescued pretty quickly, but the weapons systems officer, he's missing. And just like that, it's a frantic race against time. Who's going to find him first? US Special Forces or the Iranian military?
What happens next is straight out of a spy thriller. First, the CIA launches this brilliant deception, putting out false info that both crew members are already safe, trying to get the Iranian search parties to stand down. Next, they find the officer's exact location in a super remote mountain range. And then they send in the big guns, hundreds of Delta Force and Navy SEALs, while warplanes just pound the area to clear a path to get him out.
Then on April 5th, we get the official announcement. We got him. The mission is spun as a flawless success. No damage, no problems, just reinforcing this idea of total American air superiority. But here's what was really going on behind the scenes. The rescue was successful. They got their guy. But flawless? Not even close. The real cost, which was kept from the public, was insane. An A-10 Warthog crashed, 2 Blackhawks hit by enemy fire, 2 transport planes destroyed on the ground, and that's all on top of the original F-15 that was shot down. Okay, so that brings us right back to April 7th, the day of the deadline. The world is braced for the worst, and with just 90 minutes left on the clock, something completely unbelievable happens. A 2-week ceasefire is announced. And you are not going to believe who brokered the deal. It turns out Pakistan's army chief had a direct line to the American president, and somehow he pulled it off. Suddenly, this fragile temporary peace is hanging in the balance, all thanks to a totally unexpected player. But this peace deal starts to fall apart almost immediately. Pakistan says the deal includes Lebanon, but the US and Israel say, no, it doesn't. It turns into a total mess. And within hours, Israel launches over 100 strikes on Lebanon, their deadliest bombing of the war, arguing that, hey, they were never part of the deal. Despite all that chaos, delegations from the US and Iran actually sit down for peace talks in Islamabad. They negotiate for 21 hours straight. And incredibly, they agree on almost everything. But the entire deal, the whole thing, collapses over one single issue they just can't get past. And here's the sticking point. The US demanded the complete and total teardown of Iran's entire nuclear program. Iran, on the other hand, only offered to suspend their nuclear activity for 5 years. Neither side was willing to budge an inch. And with that, the talks were over. So, with talking officially done, the conflict shifts into a whole new phase. The U.S. announces a full naval blockade of all Iranian ports. The goal? To completely choke off their trade, especially oil shipments to places like China. This sends the world's most critical oil choke point into absolute chaos. First, Iran says the Strait of Hormuz is open, and oil prices drop. Then, the very next day, they do a complete 180 and shut it down again. It's whiplash for the global economy, and ships are caught right in the middle.
And this gets real and really dangerous fast. I mean, listen to this radio call. It's from an Indian supertanker with 2 million barrels of oil. They'd been given clearance to go, but then suddenly, Iranian gunboats just open fire. This economic war, well, it wasn't just economic anymore.
Right when it feels like everything is about to spiral completely out of control, there's another diplomatic twist. A brand new, separate ceasefire is declared, and it offers a little bit of a reprieve on one of the conflict's other major fronts.
This time, it's the U.S. that brokers a 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. The fighting stops, which is great, but it is a very tense peace. The agreement lets Israeli troops stay on the ground in southern Lebanon. So yeah, it's a pause, not a resolution.
So let's get our bearings on where we are in this story. We've got a temporary peace holding between Israel and Lebanon. But the main event, that big U.S.-Iran ceasefire that pulled the whole world back from the brink, well, it's set to expire on April 22nd. The clock is ticking down, again. And that leaves us with the ultimate terrifying question. After all of this, the threats, the secret ops, the failed peace talks, the temporary truces, was this just a brief calm before an even more devastating storm? It sure feels like all the pieces are in place for a conflict that could change everything.